Welcome back to another episode of We Talk Fit
with Mish and Dean. So we wanted to chat about nervousness around certain exercises. Like, understandably, some people are nervous around some things, whether it be from previous injuries, maybe it's even in that exercise if we really wanted to be extreme with it, or just previous injuries, perhaps unrelated injury, but then we're trying to prescribe that exercise, and like the nervousness around doing it, what's the right level of discomfort, and all those sorts of things. Have you would have had clients, I mean, you obviously with your knee injury and stuff, you would have had, you got an extensive history of knee stuff that's gone on.
Just
so
a few,
from sport, how did you feel about having to do certain things again? And
so like I've had the 3 knee reconstructions.
Just three.
So 2 knees, 3 knee reconstructions. And point blank, when I first stepped into a gym, refused to do certain exercises because it hurt.
Yeah. What do you mean by that, though? When you say it hurt?
It was painful. It was, but what I didn't realise at the time, because I was new into it, was that it was more uncomfortable than painful.
Yeah.
So because I had had surgery on them, because I had, done a bit of rehab and stuff on them, when I first started actually trying to do a bit of training in a gym, it was uncomfortable to train. And it was learning on my part how to go, all right, I'm comfortable, but I've been in pain and it's nowhere near that.
Yeah.
So it's going, all right, cool. It's like a 0.5 uncomfortable pain out of, say, 10.
Yeah, I try and use that all the time. It's a hard one, the scale.
It is.
But I try and get clients to put some sort of reference to it.
Yeah. So I sort of do the same thing with mine. I'll go, what is the worst injury you've had, and what was the pain scale of that? And they'll go, oh yeah, it was this, and it was a 9, or it was a 10, or I was like in agony. Basically, I had morphine for this, sort of injury or whatever that.
Well, I mean,
had.
realistically, like if we really want to get extreme with it, like you're on those sorts of painkillers, like instant pain relief. That's the top end.
That's the top end.
Whereas a lot of the time, and I mean this respectfully, a lot of the time people go, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
They're not at the point of instant pain relief. Do you get what I mean? So
So that's why I sort of use that as an example with my clients. And they're like, oh, well, if you put it like that, I'm like a 0.5. And I'm like, okay, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to push through the uncomfortable a little bit. We're going to build that strength up. We're going to work, not so that we hurt you, but we're going to work to strengthen up all those muscles and stuff around where that is.
Yeah.
So whether it be knees, hips, back, we'll sort of work with it, not against it.
Yeah. I think...
What clients have you had that, or issues have you had with clients that you've tried to sort of gauge them to help them?
It's a constant thing, isn't it? Like like myself, like we're all nervous about certain moves.
Yeah.
Like when I squat really heavy, it's something in my brain tells me like I'm not meant to have that much weight on my back, and I don't squat. Like I squat heavy, but not insane amounts.
Yeah.
So there's those fears, and I'm not a spring chicken anymore. But with clients, it tends to be the deadlift one, is whether it's. I've just heard so many bad stories with, not from the move itself, but with bad information around it.
Okay.
So like, I guess with any exercise, if you'd shown how to do it properly, you start off at whatever level is correct for you and your ability. And when I say ability, technique, you load that. When you can progress to start loading more, then obviously it's going to get more challenging. I would always tend to go with any exercise, regardless of injury or pain or anything, go range of motion first. So we want to achieve as much range of motion, then we load it, right? But if we're using deadlift as an example, I might call a deadlift, it might be a rack pull.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're doing your regression. So you're doing your rack pull or whatever first. You might even start, it might almost be a mid-thigh pull.
Yeah.
Because they are so nervous. So then you sort of go right mid-thigh pull first, then down to like your rack pull above your knee, and then you might go just below your knee, and then you're slowly sort of progressing
down towards the floor. Yeah. And the reason I use that, like the rack pull deadlift scenario as an example, is it tends to be obviously when you've got back pain, it's the worst thing. You struggle to move in just the most normal tasks.
Out of bed.
Yeah. So, and people tend to be petrified of deadlifts. But if you really look at what a deadlift's training, if it's done properly, that whole, obviously you're going to use the whole body, but particularly that posterior chain.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to eliminate pain in particularly the lower back, you could make a very big argument that building strength in that area is the best thing for it, not the thing to be scared of.
Yeah.
People miss out the fact that it's finding the right version of that move. So, clients that might go, oh, look, I don't want to do deadlifts, it hurts my back. You're way too low. You don't have the range of motion in your hips, knees, ankles to be sat in that position to suddenly pick a bar up.
Yeah.
We'll get into rehab, I think, in another
time,
video, but yeah, that's the big one I've come across, is trying to convince people that the very thing that might seem daunting or uncomfortable is probably the thing we need to do more of, and that's a whole mindset piece as well, really.
It is, yeah.
Whether you've had to convince people and work around that multiple times before you get the buy-in to actually, right, we're going to give this a go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely have. So clients that I've had, same with deadlifts and things like that as well, and it's, they might get sore spinal erectors, so the muscles on the side of your spine, and they're a little bit tender in there after doing something that we're actually trying to work those muscles.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, my lower back's sore. And it's like, okay, well, is it sore here or is it sore here? And they're like, oh, like, no, it's muscular. It's on the sides. My lower back's really sore. And it's like, that's not a bad thing. Like, that's what we were trying to do, because we're trying to strengthen that up in this exercise. This is what we're doing. This is how it works. And this is why we're doing that. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm always talking about that structural thing. If it feels structural, if the problem's structural, so if we're standing up with a deadlift at the top of the move and we get that pain through the spine, structural, that's a big thing. That's a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
But it's convincing people the difference between the two.
Yeah.
If you even trying just look at it like a bicep curl, right? If nobody has ever had the need to extend their arm and have their arm straight, right, and suddenly you gave them a dumbbell and asked them to curl from all the way down here to all the way up here, the next morning they're going to feel like their arms are like Arnie's, right? They're not going to be able to move comfortably. They're going to be sore. And it's because that muscle's gone further than it's gone. But it's designed to do that. It's just because you haven't done that. So like you're talking about the spinal erectors, it's the same thing.
Exactly the same thing. Yeah.
But when we feel that sensation, particularly if we haven't had it before, it's trying to convince people that that's not injury.
Yeah.
It's discomfort and pain. And it can be like DOMs, if it's just DOMs.
Yeah.
Just
DOMs.
Can be painful.
Yeah, they can be. Yeah.
But the more you get used to these things, the more you'll learn that there is a difference between injury is going to restrict movement. DOMs is going to be your brain and muscle repair going on and lots of mixed signals.
Yeah.
Tightness, particularly.
Yeah, very much. A lot of tightness in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Other clients with that sort of thing? Any other?
Like lots of different, like, you know how many clients I've spent time with shoulder stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's in and around. I'd say I send people to you when it comes to shoulders. In and around.
And I always, I have a bit of a system that I follow with, like, I'll start here. If that's fine, I'll start here and progress. And without boring people to death with all of it. It tends to be a lot of internal, particularly on guys for some reason, but that's probably because we've all been trying to bench way too heavy for years and years and years. very anterior, like biased with the movements, so they'll probably overdo the volume of training in chest and shoulders and biceps, things that are going to make you tight here and pull you in. What that means is when they might bench with relatively good technique, but if they hit any depth, they feel that horrible pinch in the shoulder or pain, and it's just trying to convince them that, because that is really painful from personal experience. Being a chippy for years and carrying horrible, ridiculous, awkward materials around, I know all about those injuries. But yes, same thing about trying to convince them that we need to feel the 1s and 2s out of 10 in the right position, with the right load. Whilst there's also probably some kind of prehab going on, accessory work.
Yeah, and a lot of, especially when they're anterior focused and you've got a lot of or too much strength almost in the shoulders, and not enough in your rear delt or your back, or because I'll find that there's always a lot of especially with shoulders, I'll find that there's and I was having a chat with another PT yesterday, day before, about shoulders actually, and it was about strengthening up the back so that you don't have a disparity between your posterior and anterior.
What, strength-wise or aesthetics, or both?
Strength, both a little bit, I suppose. So, you know, a lot of people want to get really big shoulders, but they'll forget to do their rear delt. So you'll be so strong here, it'll be sort of pulling you forward. I think, and then you're not actually strong enough in your posterior side as well.
I think what I've learned with my own training, and obviously with clients too, is that if you actually spend some time on those other things, it helps the other movements. So the people that want like bigger delts or better chest, if they actually do the prehab work on the back, traps, rhomboids, subscap, all of those things, to be able to get into that position, all of a sudden, you know, even with just good posture now, I've got no weight at all. You can see my chest. And that, imagine what that does if you now apply that to a bench press or a dumbbell press where you've got load and you can actually train that muscle through its full range of, you know. But it's the same as everything. We all want the magic pill and we all want to just go heavier and harder. Rather than doing the stuff that would let you achieve.
Yeah, so I was having a chat with a client the other day about it, and it was after chatting about it, you know, things pop up in your news feed and stuff like that. And I said, you know, if we're going to have a really strong bench, we need to make sure that we've got a strong back as well. And not long after, it was an Olympian weightlifter came up in the in his news feed, and they were asking how he got the record or whatever for benching. And his instant reply was, I've got the same strength in my back. You're not going to have, you know, that's your sort of brake motion, and you've got a nice strong back as well
to drive
from.
I think people underestimate how much the lats are involved in it. I mean, I don't know how much we're going to go into the mechanics of the bench press on a short video, but I don't think people neglect how much the lat muscles are involved in that. Like sometimes when I'm benching for technique rather than like overall weight, I'll almost try and feel like I'm pulling that weight down to get out of that depth, depending on what phase my training's at. But so like try and circumnavigate back to the whole like client relationship with pain and niggles. It's convincing them to get into the right space. Convincing them to get into the right space to then train positions properly. But if you've always had a niggle somewhere, that's like a message that's been like reinforced over and over and over again in the gym or wherever, and someone like a trainer is trying to convince you otherwise. It's really hard. It's a lot of trust to put in a trainer. It is. But we see it work all the time. It's just trying to get that message across. Please just be patient with us, spend the time, and you will get the reward. No one else gets it. I've got evidence of it with my clients and stuff. people that really powerful guys, for instance, really strong, powerful guys that couldn't get past a certain weight or position without pain. Strip back away from that, do some work, balance up the things that were like slight weaknesses, and all of a sudden it's like they've got another 25% of power because they can, first of all, just achieve range of motion better.
Massive. Yeah.
Before we talk about the strength side of stuff.
Yeah, I generally strip a lot of clients back to basics first. There's been a few that I've sort of brought their weights right back, and I'll go, all right, we're going to do it like this. We're going to get our range of motion back, and I've halved what they had been previously lifting.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh my God, that was so hard. Like, I can't, like, why is it so hard? Like, I do more than that. And it's like, well, you're doing half movements. Like, you know, you're not using that full range of motion. So, you sort of strip it right back, get them back to basics, and then you get them to follow on from that instead of going, I just want to lift heavier. I just want to get that PB. I just want to, you know, you sort of strip it right back, almost to no weight.
Well, we've literally got it written on the wall up there. More is not better. Better is better.
Better is better.
So, like, let's refine technique. Let's see, balance out those weaknesses and start from the right spot rather than continually just trying to progress a half movement or a... Yeah.
I agree with that.
But it's not an easy... Like, we're guilty of it too. It's not an easy thing to listen to when... Especially if you've been used to good performance levels. We don't really want to strip anything back. We want to just progress.
Yeah.
So it's that
I'm definitely guilty of it. Yeah.